I took all 30 plus characters of the brand new Marvel Rivals, smashed them into the who's who of DC Comics, and came up with my own version of Marvel Rivals taking place in the DC universe. And the results even surprised me. So let's go! Number 1. Spider-Man and Wonder Woman. I know, right? When playing as Spider-Man, I expected a nimble melee fighter with some neat web tricks, but the more I got used to his momentum and pulling attacks, the more it felt like Wonder Woman from Injustice or the Multiverses games, using her lasso of truth to set up an uppercut combo. Number 2. Moon Knight and Batman. See, some of these are a lot more straightforward. Moon Knight has always been compared with Bruce Wayne, except somehow a little more crazy. Swap out some of the mystical elements for some Wayne tech, and maybe call in the Batwing for an ultimate, and it's practically a 1-to-1. Number 3. The Punisher and John Stewart. What could Frank Castle and this Green Lantern have in common? Why, a love of ballistics, of course. While most Green Lanterns create elaborate designs, John Stewart is so well versed on the ins and outs of military-grade weaponry, he can quite literally recall entire arsenals into material with his Green Lantern ring. Number 4. Iron Man and Red Tornado. One of the more surprising aspects of Iron Man and Marvel Rivals is what a glass cannon he is, and Red Tornado could sure relate. Flying freely and laying down some air vortexes can cause serious damage, but more often than not, he ends up in pieces by the end. Thankfully, he's a robot. Number 5. Mr. Fantastic and Clayface. What, were you expecting elongated, man? Mr. Fantastic's extended punches and body modification make him a perfect match for Clayface and his shape-shifting abilities. Of course, old Clayboy would probably leave a lot more of a mess jumping around all of his enemies. He just can't help it. Number 6. Hulk and Hourman. One of the coolest aspects of DC Comics is its nearly 30-year head start on Marvel superheroes. Back in the Golden Age, Hourman Rex Tyler would pop a pill and be gifted with advanced super strength. Although, for the sake of gameplay, that's probably gonna need to be cut down from an hour to maybe a minute or two. Number 7. Cloak and Dagger and Johnny Thunder. Cloak and Dagger's ability to swap characters make this a tricky choice, but I had to go with Johnny Thunder and his special genie friend Thunderbolt. Leave Johnny to pelt his enemies before swapping over to the big guns with Thunderbolt, unleashing some serious chaotic magic. Number 8. Black Panther and Wildcat. Considering the robust amounts of adamantium in the Black Panther suit, this might not seem like a fair comparison, but Wildcat is the sort of martial artist that can take Batman to the mat on a regular basis. If anyone can match the fast claws of Black Panther, it's the Wildcat Ted Grant. Number 9. Rocket Raccoon and Red Hood. Let's be honest, Rocket Raccoon and Red Hood would probably despise each other. They're just too similar, and that's probably because between all the horrible life-altering tragedies, they've learned to get really good at shooting things real fast. Well, at least they seem happier now. Number 10. Groot and Swamp Thing. Groot is some kind of tree creature and Swamp Thing is the protector of the green. It seems fairly straightforward, but really it was the ability to create walls that made this choice fit. Swamp Thing loves to put vines together to create barriers. It's kind of his whole thing, which made this an easy pick. Number 11. Scarlet Witch and Zatanna. One of the most unusual characters in all of Marvel Rivals, it only seemed fitting to put magic user Zatanna here, or Zatanna the Second to be specific. Doesn't matter if it's DC, Marvel, Superman, or the Hulk, chaos magic will quickly down even the most powerful heroes. Number 12. Black Widow and DeadShot. Black Widow is one of the most versatile characters in all of Marvel Rivals, swapping brutal close-up melee for long-distance sniper attacks. So who's better to replace her than the sophisticated mercenary and assassin, DeadShot, who's always been a thorn in the side of the Justice League. Number 13. Thor and Hawkman. Again, Hawkman and Thor have a ton in common between being reincarnated gods and wielding magic bludgeoning objects. Just swap Mjolnir for the Thanagarian mace. Only difference here is the mace is the source of electricity, not the holder. Hawkman has a pretty complex backstory, but when he goes to work, it's all action. Number 14. Captain America and Blue Beetle. As much as I love Ted Core, this is about the third incarnation of Blue Beetle, Jamie Reyes. The Scarab allowed Jamie to materialize weapons at will through its advanced technology, including shields and super strength. And if that doesn't summarize the essence of Steve Rogers, I don't know what does. Number 15. Venom and Golden Age Superman. Look, when Superman first debuted, he could leap tall buildings, but he couldn't fly. And honestly, his strength level was far more akin to Venom than anywhere near his modern counterpart. Using the multiverse aspect of DC has always invited the craziest crossovers, including these classic shoutouts to Earth 2. Number 16. Namor and Black Manta. Yeah, Aquaman is too nice to match up to Namor, but his arch-villain, Black Manta, knows how to take the fight to the Justice League with his aquatic-themed villainy. And honestly, Namor is at best a shade of gray at any given era, so being swapped out for one of the coldest killers in the DC universe isn't too far a stretch. Number 17. Storm and Captain Marvel. This might seem like an odd exchange until you remember Captain Marvel was bequeathed with the powers of a god, including the electric abilities of Zeus. He doesn't really use those powers as much these days, but a little 6 vs 6 multiverse battle would be a good enough incentive. Number 18. Hawkeye and Jonah Hex. Hawkeye is an extremely unconventional superhero, given that he uses a bow and arrow. And sure, Green Arrow might be the obvious choice here, but I gotta go with the rustic cowboy Jonah Hex and his dated ballistic weaponry that might pack a punch, but takes a little longer to load. Number 19. Wolverine and Deathstroke. Not to be confused with DeadShot, Deathstroke has enough blades and super intelligence to easily match Wolverine on his best day, able to single-handedly take down multiple Justice League members. Oh, and a healing factor? Yeah, he's got one of those too. All he needs now is the adamantium bones. Number 20. Star-Lord and Peacemaker. Say what you will about Peacemaker, he's a goofball, but when the going gets tough, those little bullets put down even the most capable of foes, which makes it a perfect match for Star-Lord and his chip-damage shooting that can pester enemies from both close and far away. Number 21. Winter Soldier and Cyborg. Winter Soldier has gone through quite a few renditions for a fairly new character, some of which lean far more into his robotic arm and cyborg natures than others. So let's split the difference and have the Cyborg Vic Stone using plasma cannons instead of Winter Soldier's regular cannons. Number 22. Squirrel Girl and the Creeper. Steve Ditko is best known for creating Spider-Man, but his later creations are worthy of attention too. Not only did he create Squirrel Girl, he also created the laughter-powered Creeper. Does the Creeper use a slingshot? No. But did Squirrel Girl use a slingshot before Marvel Rivals? Not really. So fair's fair. Number 23. Iron Fist and Lady Shiva. Look, this one is pretty basic, but when it comes to martial artists, few if any in the DC universe can match Lady Shiva. Not only can she put down the worst of the worst, she's also taken time to train other heroes like The Question. Even with all of his chi, it's doubtful Iron Fist could match her. Number 24. Peni Parker and Robotman. This isn't a perfect one-to-one, but really I couldn't come up with another mecha sentient being, let alone powered by a psychic spider. But what Robotman lacks in web powers, he makes up for in speed and strength, able to close gaps and bring in the hurt to whoever opposes the Doom Patrol. Number 25. Adam Warlock and Dr. Fate. We'll get on to Doctor Strange later, but really the heavy-powered Adam Warlock is better matched by the magic of Dr. Fate, which translates to near godlike power when facing off against the villains of the DC universe. And at the end of the day, if you can warp reality with the wave of a hand, is an Eldritch Blast really that hard? Number 26. Doctor Strange and Raven. No offense to Doctor Strange, but there's one teenager in the DC universe that could easily match his magical abilities. Of course, it helps that Raven is the daughter of a literal demon, Trigon. Heck, her dark arts abilities are only matched by her academic pursuit in the magic world. Number 27. Magneto and Lex Luthor. Something about this big, slow, lumbering rendition of Magneto reminds me of Lex Luthor and his big, wacky power suits, which he designed himself, of course. This usually boils down to plasma cannons and an advanced use of magnets. Would Lex Luthor also be a friend to the mutant race? Probably not. Number 28. Invisible Woman and Martian Manhunter. I might be giving Manhunter's physical strength short shrift, but given all the fire that's going around the average superhero battle, it's safe to assume he'd rather create psychic barriers from a distance and sneaking up with his power of invisibility, not unlike the Invisible Woman, Sue Storm. Number 29. Magic and Shining Knight. Whatever Magic's powers are or aren't, when it comes to Marvel Rivals, she's pretty much limited to swinging around a big old sword. Well, say no more. Call in Sir Justin, aka the Shining Knight. Again, it's these baffling combinations of cowboys and knights that makes DC its own unique fun. Number 30. Jeff the Landshark and Crypto. Somehow we didn't get Deadpool, but we got his pet, which makes about as much sense as a landshark. And really, it fits in line with a dog somehow having the exact same powers as Superman, aka Crypto, an alien that somehow has all the attributes of a common canine. Sure, whatever, makes about as much sense as anything else here. Number 31. Hela and Trigon. You didn't think we'd leave the demonic powers at Raven, did ya? Hela's god powers cause all sorts of trouble for the Avengers, but Trigon literally rules several domains and dimensions, which means he can probably spare a bit of power to smite his enemies in fiery destruction. Number 32. Psylocke and Katana. Psylocke's adaptations in games often underestimate her mutant abilities, usually reducing her to a magic sword. Well, what's better than someone who uses a literal magic sword that consumes the souls of her enemies? Hey, does that mean that the characters can't respawn anymore? Number 33. Luna Snow and Captain Cold. Sure, Mr. Freeze might fit here, but he's a big, slow, lumbering giant. Meanwhile, Captain Cold can keep up to pace with Luna Snow thanks to his nimble traversal and ice-centric technology. This guy has caused some serious problems for the Flash, and would fit right in this third-person shooter. Number 34. Loki and the Phantom Stranger. Loki is a trickster god causing all sorts of mischief. The Phantom Stranger is a magical being that also causes all sorts of mischief, but he seems to be doing it for good? In Marvel Rivals, Loki can bounce around using teleporting tricks, and that's the exact sort of magic the good old Phantom Stranger uses on those unlucky souls. Number 35. Mantis and Thomas Wayne. Come on, you know I had to go crazy for the last one, but follow the logic. Mantis can heal or hurt depending on where her attack lands. And Thomas Wayne, the Batman of the Flashpoint universe, is not only a vigilante, he's a doctor, which means he can break bones and heal them as well. Very impressive. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. How about letting us know what characters you would put in your version of Marvel Rivals in the comments below? Keep clicking around here on Game Rant, and we'll see you next time.